Welcome back, 0 to 60. I'm Bree. That's Matt. Matt, you got a hell of a 2 p.m. show going on this afternoon. Who do you have on the show?
We've got the starting center for the Michigan Wolverines, Drake Nugent, proud Highlands Ranch Falcon. Been in the Dungeon family here at 6-0 Football Academy since he was 15 years old. Him and Austin Salsa Johnson came in together. They played next to each other at Highlands Ranch. Best friends. Salsa went to Colorado and is now, through the transfer portal, the center at Purdue for Coach Walters. And Drake went to Stanford with Bear Miller, who played at Eagle Crest. They also trained together, and they both went to Stanford together that year. And then Austin and Jake Wiley, who also played at Eagle Crest, went to Colorado together that year. And now, Drake went to Stanford, played well, played for 4 years there, got his degree, and now transfer portal to Michigan, where he's the starting center there, and he's on every watch list imaginable and anchoring a team that's probably going to win the Joe Moore Award again this year. He's on the 2 p.m. show. It was an awesome interview. I cannot wait for everybody to see it. And you know what? In my opinion, it's Michigan against everybody right now, and I'm saying go blue, and I'm screaming it from the mountaintops.
Awesome. Can't wait to tune into that one. Before we get started here today, I want to remind everyone that 0 to 60 is sponsored by Bet Online. The last of the major pro sports leagues is off and rolling, and college basketball is on its way as well. Bet Online remains your top spot for all your live betting action and contests. NFL, college football, UFC, NHL, they're all in full swing, and Bet Online is your number one source for wagering news, odds, trends, and predictions. All the hoops betting action you could want, along with every sport, is available at your fingertips with both desktop and mobile access at any time. Head on over to Bet Online today. And remember, use our code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, for your 50% off welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet Online, where the game starts. And the game starts tonight because we got Thursday Night Football on. And usually I would make some joke about it being thrilling for everybody here. But you know what? I know better than on 0 to 60 to plan an entire show around how I think things are going to go, especially when Matt's on, because the idea here is that we could script this entire thing, and Matt's going to go off on a tangent at some point, and I'm just going to be here helpless. So what I'm going to say here is that we are rolling, and we'll start with Thursday Night Football and see how this goes. All right. So for all of you who are tuning in, both teams are coming off tough losses against division rivals. Obviously, you have the Ravens giving up a big lead against the Browns, and then the Bengals didn't fare so well against the Houston Texans. So in Week 11, I think this is going to be a thrilling way for them to take it out on each other. Matt, the spread's 3.5. Don't know how much faith I have in that. The Ravens blew a big lead against the Browns, losing that one, but they're at home. I think Lamar Jackson could have a bounce back game. He hasn't thrown for multiple TDs in 5 of his last 6 games. So I don't know. I don't know how I feel this one breaking it down, but I think the Ravens take this one.
Yeah, look, man. Thursday Night Football, I don't know how I necessarily feel about it. As a player, it's always fun to play a game, but it is a quick turnaround. There's not a lot of preparation. It's a division game. Cleveland, you get what you get. Like, I'm sorry, but karma's a son of a bitch. Like, if you sign this guy, and you know who I'm talking about, old Captain, and then you make him your captain, and you try and build around him. I'm not surprised he got hurt. I mean, karma's a real bitch. So, I think Cleveland's defense is outstanding, but they do give up some. They have had 30 hung on them a couple of times. Like, the Broncos' defense is outstanding. They have 70 hung on them. Like, Baltimore's defense is outstanding. Raekwon Smith had 24 tackles or some shit last week in one game. There's guys that don't have 24 tackles in a season. So, but they give up some plays. So I guess this evening is going to be, a huge determining factor on who is going to who's going to make mistakes and who's not. And when you look at the AFC North, Cleveland and all their problems now with Deshaun Watson, again, karma. Baltimore, their problems of getting up and being and commanding leads every single game and then blowing leads. So they've lost to teams that they were up on by 2 touchdowns and blew all those games, including Cleveland last week. Pittsburgh, great defense. Fitzpatrick's been a little bit banged up, which makes them a little leaky. But once again, they've got a receiver who's complaining because he's not getting the ball enough because Kenny Pickett in his little tiny hands can't grip the ball or whatever the reason is. But they're at least they have stability in Mike Tomlin, who's outstanding. And there's good coaches all over the division, Harbaugh, Stefanski. And then, Taylor and Cincinnati had a tough loss to Houston. CJ Stroud is the offensive rookie of the year and is playing at an MVP level. I mean, just out of his mind. I rewatched Cincinnati and Houston last night for a little bit, and it was pretty damn impressive watching both of those guys play. Burrow had a reverse pivot scramble where he squares his shoulders and drops a fucking dime to Jamar Chase, just right in the breadbasket to the house. I mean, one of those throws where you go, God damn. And I love watching football and having that reaction because that means good shit's happening. I think the AFC North is just the black and blue division. All right. If you don't bring your fucking lunch pail, you're going to get your ass whipped. And this is another great game. I mean, Bree, how do you feel about the comparison here looking at the two quarterbacks? I want to ask you a question. Who would you take? Which starter in the game tonight would you want to build around?
Are you asking about Lamar Jackson and Joe Burrow?
Yeah. So if you look, the two starters for tonight's game are it's Baltimore, Cincy, Burrow or Lamar Jackson. Who would you build around? You put your GM hat on.
I feel like it's a loaded question. Had Joe Burrow not gone down with that calf injury, I think that you're singing a different tune here. But you get a lot of hype around Burrow and what he's been able to do, and then he surprises you midway through the season. The Bengals are banged up, so a lot of his issues are directly tied to injuries. And Lamar Jackson's Lamar Jackson. I mean, Baltimore finally came to their senses and gave him his contract and paid him what he's worth. And you're seeing him not struggle, but honestly, they're finding difficult rhythms here. And so they feel a little disjointed. For the future, I think I go Lamar Jackson. His explosive plays pay off enough. His run game is not only serviceable, it's needed in this NFL against these defenses. So I think I'd have to go Lamar Jackson. I think the long term is there, but Joe Burrow has proven multiple times that he's a playoff quarterback, a playoff caliber quarterback.
Yes.
The team just seems to sort of drop out when they least need to. With T. Higgins being injured and Jamar Chase is dealing with a back injury right now, it's not really. I don't think it's fair to compare them. But what I'm really interested in, and I'm gonna throw this right back at you, is the Broncos face both of these teams. Or will be facing a multitude of these teams going forward. But there's a frustrating factor here of what you're trying to grab from this. So the Browns and the sorry, I got derailed here. The Browns and the Texans are Broncos opponents later on down the road, and they face the Ravens and the Bengals, who are two top tier teams. I would say two of the best offenses that exist. What exactly did they do to drop the games to two teams that are sort of middle of the pack? Are they not as elite as we had envisioned them?
Look, there's holes. I mean, if they rely so much on Burrow and Lamar Jackson, where Cleveland, I think Cleveland might be better losing Watson. I know that he played okay the other day and brought him back, but I mean, that might be the worst contract in NFL history because Russ is 2, but Watson's 1. They rely so much on their defense in Cleveland. I don't know if they're really going to fall off that much. I think Pittsburgh could replace their quarterback and not fall off that much. I personally think, though, in Cincinnati and Baltimore, those two are the figureheads of their franchises, and they should be. Now, that said, how do you find something that Houston did to Cincinnati, and how do you find something that Cleveland did to Baltimore, and then use that in order to find weaknesses? And this is what I mean. I want to watch Houston beat Cincinnati on the road. That's the game I want to watch for the Texans. I don't want to watch them lose to somebody. I want to watch their best game. Cleveland going on the road to Baltimore, and anybody that knows the backstory between these two franchises, Baltimore is Cleveland. Cleveland is Baltimore. Finkel is Einhorn. Einhorn is Finkel. Cats and dogs are living together. It's total fucking pandemonium. All right. So when Cleveland goes to Baltimore or Baltimore goes to Cleveland, there's some big time resentment and hatred there. And, it's those franchises don't like, each other none too much. And the way that Cleveland went into Baltimore and won, that's the game I want to watch. That's their best win on record. So, in the Stefanski era, other than the playoff game he didn't participate in because he had COVID when they went to Pittsburgh and won, when Pittsburgh was the 1 seed a couple of years ago with Baker Mayfield. Other than that win the other night in Baltimore was monumental for Cleveland. So watching Houston and Cleveland overcome adversity, win on the road like that, those are going to be tough games for Denver, big time. But there's holes in everyone's on everyone's football team, all across the NFL, there's holes.
So the AFC.
There's no real perfect team this year. There's nobody that's head and shoulders better than anybody else.
Throughout the entire league or just in the AFC? Because I think the entire league has been in flux. You've seen a lot of teams who are supposed to come out as front runners in the AFC itself. I think that's fair, but I think also in the NFC you're seeing a lot of shakeups that you weren't necessarily predicting. But I did want to ask you about the Cleveland Browns. Obviously, Deshaun Watson going down with season-ending surgery. Dorian Thompson-Robinson is going to step in. He didn't have a great start as a rook, so now we're trying to, I guess, assess how much of a front runner Cleveland will continue to be. But the AFC North, it's a tough division in itself. But the Bengals are at the bottom of it. Do they use this game tonight to sort of start a new momentum for the second half of the season?
You would assume that they need to. I mean, that this is if Cincinnati doesn't win this evening, they're looking up at a division that is loaded. Like there's talk about all 4 teams making the playoffs. Now, I don't know how the hell that happens. I don't know how, because they've all got there's games between all the teams too remaining. So they're going to take more losses, but the AFC is super deep, Bree. I mean, fuck, man. The AFC's got teams all over the damn place that they can all play. I mean, the Jets
Except
defense.
The Patriots.
Well, yeah, that's a totally different story, which we can definitely talk about because I've heard rumblings that Belichick has another job lined up, and after the season he's just leaving. So that's another conversation. But I will say this: if you look at the AFC and the four divisions in the AFC, everybody, with the exception of maybe 2 teams, are still in it. Like everybody in the AFC West is still competitive and fighting for a playoff spot. 3 of the 4 teams in the AFC East are competitive and fighting for a playoff spot. Everybody 3 of the 4 teams in the AFC South are competitive and fighting for a playoff spot. Houston's come from the pit of hell to a winning record with the offensive rookie of the year and Will Anderson balling, and D'Amico Ryan's looking like he might be the coach of the year, like doing a really great job. The AFC North, all 4 teams are over 500. Like that, holy shit. So the AFC East is loaded. Like there's just teams the South, Jacksonville, even though they got ran, like with Chad Muma, their outstanding linebacker, Legend Titan product, was on the show this week. Go check out his interview. It was outstanding, especially talking about special teams because he's a special teams guy. He's one of the best in the business. And talking about like the 12 men on the field thing with the Broncos on Monday night. He was on Tuesday's show. It was outstanding. Go check that out. But like that's what we do here on 0 to 60. Bree and I try and bring you, excellent analysis in the morning and have some fun and shit. And good morning to everyone out there. But then the afternoon show, I'm trying to open up my Rolodex to everybody here and everyone that I know and work with and all the guys around everywhere. Like the great Matt Russell was just sitting in my office 20 minutes ago, was he not?
Yes.
Buckus winner from Colorado. His son Reese is at Valor. He's a guard center. He's going to be starting in the program on Sunday. I can't wait, man. I used to work with his daughter Delaney, who's just a badass volleyball player. He showed us a video of his daughter Delaney. What is that called? Set and spike?
Well,
Volleyball.
she spiked the ball into the libero's face, got her good. It was a nice hit. I
How
popped.
fast do you think that volleyball was moving?
I
I'd
couldn't
say
clock it
that shit was moving
fast
70.
enough not to be able to get your hands up. She got caught with her hands down for sure.
I mean, look, it was set. They set the ball. I don't know. Delaney jumps and spikes it, and it hits homegirl right in the face, going real fast. And it was like a football collision. I got super excited. So, like, I want the afternoon show to be informative, so everybody gets a perspective of a NFL guy from legend. Drake Nugent this afternoon, Steve Atwater last week, Brady Quinn. Like, that's what we're trying to do here on 0 to 60. And man, we appreciate all the support so much. Like we can't tell you enough how much we really care. Please subscribe, pound the like button. Make sure you go on to social media and support, everybody in the gym. But not only that, the 60 Academy, all the different platforms. TikTok is literally exploding right now. The stupid ass hip video, Bree, has 3.7 million fucking views on it this morning. Look, at this
Get it together, Boomer. Get it together.
No, I'm not going to. Okay. I'm going to get Boomer right. Boomer's going to have the best hips in the fucking world before if you thought Odin had hips, just wait until you see Boomer's hips. He's going to get those right. And I don't know how I feel about this, but I think maybe the big guy needs to show everybody how to do this correctly.
You are not. Are you really?
I invented this exercise.
Are you going to film it?
I got down hips. Oh, I'm telling you. Fuck. I got hips for days, son. Do you think Shakira's got hips? Nah. Me.
I don't.
Me, baby. Me.
I'll let you know when that clip goes up, everybody.
Ask that video and do the me. Am I the only one that wants to see it? Fuck.
I don't want all. Let's do it. Let's fuck it.
What's the worst that could happen, right?
Andrew Swartz said, "Let's go, Matt and Bree. Got a new favorite morning show." Andrew, that's amazing. Thank you. Convince your friends. Subscribe to the channel. Set notifications. It's a good morning program. Now you get to know. You clicked a comment, so go ahead and answer this one.
Damn it! I have fat fingers, but you do need a dungeon in Houston. Maybe I could call my boy Lawrence Vickers. He's down there in Houston. Be like, yo, LV, let's open up one in Houston. And he'll be like, let's do it. Boom. Are you investing, John? Make it happen.
Let's make it happen. Quick clicking shit. My God. Chris Talks Hoops said, "Mad love for 60 Academy. Matt, you're a hell of a dude. I watch you on JB's show. Love the crew. Love what you do. I'm a Pats fan. Love to hear it. That means that's a Brady fan. So at least allegedly, assumedly. Shouts out to Coach JB. I just wanted to give some love there. And John's excited by the idea and the notion of getting you out there in Houston. Well, we probably wouldn't send you too far, but you know what I mean. I'm distracted by the idea of a hips video going up, so I'm going to pivot to.
Oh yeah, my hips don't lie. Woo!
I can. I'm sure somebody can hear you yelling over there just as loudly.
We get noise complaints constantly.
Noise like written? Like, do they put a note on your door, or is it just?
No, like some asshole complained the bass is too loud, and they'll send me an email like, Matt, could you please turn the bass down? And I'm like, who the fuck is this again? Turn it up. And then I go what are they gonna do? Like, you're gonna call the noise complaint people on me? We're not having a fucking high school party here. There's no kids running away from a kegger. It's just me in here lifting. If they don't like the music, here, we'll put it like this. If they can make it to the stereo, they can turn it down. Is that fair?
Like run a gauntlet in between the front door
or the back door to the stereo and turn it down without me eating you, then you can turn my music down. Otherwise, everybody needs to shut the fuck up.
Tony Newsom said, "Watched a lot of your training videos yesterday, Matt. My son's a lineman, and your drills definitely give me ideas to work with my son. Your teaching is intense. Matt's an intense individual. Oh, he also said much love. Thank you, Tony.
Love, brother. Thank you.
Would you consider yourself intense?
A little bit. And Troy, we got the distance program, bro. If you ever want to talk shop, reach out, dude. We're helping people all over the country. We signed up a kid in Sacramento yesterday. We got guys in Houston. We got dudes in Miami. I mean, we're worldwide. The 6-0 Army's deep. What I say I'm intense. I think personally that I'm just normal. Like I don't think that personally I'm that intense, but I just like being alive, and I got fucking blood pumping through me veins, and I got a lot of energy, and I like what I do, and I'm just a happy guy, man. So if that, I can't help the fact of how I make other people feel. I mean, for some reason, I either make people feel really good about themselves or really, really bad about themselves, and uh, both I don't have any control over. I'm just being me. So if I intimidate you, then that sucks. I don't know. I don't know what to say to that.
That's on you. John, I am banning you from the chat for continuing to give air and fuel to this conversation. John said, Matt doing the hits drill to the soundtrack of Hips Don't Lie by Shakira will be
Yeah.
utterly perfect. Yeah, so that's whatever. We're gonna, we're,
That's how I do it. And we show the video on the show.
I'm not uploading that since I produce this thing. It's my choice. I run this shit.
Just don't lie. I'm starting to see my pride.
Stop it, please. I don't remember what else we were going to talk about. We are going to talk about the AFC. We did that. Any shockers out of the NFC, just real quick before we move out of divisional standings?
Look, I think Philadelphia is elite. They can hammer the football. I like Jalen Hurts a lot. They've got some holes though defensively that they've got to shore up. San Francisco, when they're on top of their game, is just super impressive to me. And I like Brock Purdy. I do. But I also think that they're a quarterback away all the fucking time. So hopefully he can be the guy for them. Look, the Broncos have Minnesota this weekend. And I'm super excited for the game Sunday night. I think it's going to be an awesome contest. We'll talk about that at length tomorrow, obviously. But Bree, you're not going to be on tomorrow, so we might as well talk about it right now, too. I mean, look, I think Minnesota is a good football team. I think Detroit is the class of that division. Detroit could be the number one seed by the time it's all over. And good for you, Motown. You've been through hell. So, like, Broncos fans are depressed, and we won a Super Bowl in 2015. Detroit hasn't won a fucking, like, a championship since, like, FDR was in fucking office or some shit. So, like, what I'm saying is the Minnesota game Sunday night is like, it's one of those pivot games for both teams. Minnesota's on a roll. Josh Dobbs is balling. Denver's on a roll. The defense is balling. I'm very eager to see how the offense does Sunday night because Minnesota's got some holes defensively, but they can really get after you rushing the passer. Hunter is a stud. And look, I understand that there's this huge push out there that like thinks Russell Wilson is like back. I know that he made plays the other night and had 2 touchdowns and it looks good on paper, right? But I thought his accuracy was trash and like he missed the touchdown to Judy and he got bailed out by Sutton on that 4th down. He just I like the fact that it was there and they made a play. I'm all about it, but that's a bailout. And I feel like he could be even better if he didn't kind of suck. I don't really know how to say it any other way.
I don't know how to respond. It feels loaded. Because here in Broncos country, if you're a little too negative while everyone else is being positive, you get called a hater. But I think you're right.
I'm a huge fucking hater. You're
I
damn
think
straight. Thank you.
Oh my God. I think you nailed it though, because the idea is that Russell Wilson being back elicits a feeling that he's playing well. I think that he has improved. It's obviously not the 2022 season where you really couldn't tell what was going on, but I don't know what being back means. I think Russell Wilson and Sean Payton have figured out a scheme that works for them. I think it's going to be a test coming into Sunday night. It's going to be cold and rainy in Denver, Colorado. So Mile High Stadium is going to be soggy and they're probably going to be sad about it. And the idea here is that if Russell Wilson can continue to do what he does best, and that's not underthrowing the receivers, and there's not hoping that Sutton is there to bail him out or putting his receivers in position to fumble the ball or scrambling when there's absolutely no reason to scramble. And that's just part of Russell Wilson's game. We know that he can be a bit of a roller coaster. A lot of the quarterbacks in this league can do so, that they have the skills in order to make it happen. Russell Wilson a decade ago is a lot different than the Russell Wilson now. So I think to say that he's back is not necessarily true, but I think he has been able to regain a lot more of his confidence. I think Sean Payton is doing the correct thing by allowing what he wants to allow to happen on the offense. And I think that's also why it's very frustrating to watch a it's like basically corralling a bunch of children in a playpen and saying you can only play with these balls that are in here. Like they don't get to play with anything else, and you're like frustrated because you're like all they're doing is tossing balls to each other. So that's what we're seeing right now. Is it's not going to be as explosive as you would hope for it to be, but it's going to work. And if your quarterback can win you games, we're talking less and less about Russell Wilson being a $250 million quarterback who's not living up to the expectation. And instead, we're saying, are the Denver Broncos good enough to continue to win games? I am very worried about the game on Sunday, but I think they have the momentum that's going to back them, at least give them some push. But then you have Houston, you have Cleveland, you have the Patriots are still on the schedule. I think they can win that, but it doesn't matter unless you can win in division. And if they drop 2 games to the Chargers and they're not able to finish off the season strong against the Raiders, any sort of playoff expectations are gone. It doesn't matter because they've gone ahead and screwed themselves by dropping that game to the Raiders. So uh, you're in this like I don't know really what to expect. I'm glad Russell Wilson is looking better than he did last year, but that's the comparative onslaught that you're faced with. It doesn't mean that he's the quarterback that Sean Payton wants to build to in the future. I don't know.
That's the question, though, and I'm glad you brought it up because look, if he's going to be efficient in the system but not elite, do you need an elite quarterback play in the AFC playoffs to advance or get there? And that's going to be the question. The defense is playing outstanding, 13 points a game since they figured it out. And I think that they will be locked down on Sunday night. Like Minnesota's been really good up to this point. They haven't played Denver's defense at home on Sunday night. So, that's going to be a huge test. I guess my question is this. Broncos country, you can answer it however you want. Bree, I'd love to get your opinion on this because I think it goes pretty deep. Russell Wilson, if he's playing at this level, it's good enough to get maybe into the playoffs and it's good enough to turn around the season. How good could the team be with an actual superstar quarterback? And if we're just going to be average at the position, we don't need to pay the way we're paying. So he either takes a pay cut and gives back to the franchise so they can go sign more people, like Aaron Rodgers did that this year. Tom Brady's notorious for doing that shit. In New England, he would constantly be in the middle of the pay for quarterbacks so that Bill could go out and fortify the rest of the football team. So if he's not going to be elite, he can't get paid like he's elite and kind of cripple the franchise in that regard from the salary cap perspective, because that number is going to skyrocket the longer he's around because all of his money's guaranteed. So I'm not advocating that they get rid of him by any means right now. I mean, he's the quarterback of the football team, but in a draft that is just dripping with prospects. And the Broncos having quite a few picks after getting rid of Gregory. And I would not be surprised at all if Sean Payton takes Bo Nix in the second or third round, or a Hartman from Notre Dame, one of these guys that's going to fall to the second or third. Like Bo Nix has more starts than anybody in college football history. He's versatile, he can run, he's smart, and he can lace it. But I doubt he's a first-round pick unless someone falls in love with him. So Penix Jr., is he going to be a first-rounder? There's so many guys that can come out this year. I would not be surprised at all if they're drafting the quarterback of the future. And if Russ can't take this offense to the level that Sean Payton wants to play at, which is real balance, which is not really what they have, they're either overthrowing and putting the team in jeopardy because they can't keep up with the opportunities that are then being given to the other team because we're trying to do something we're not built to do, We're either overthrowing with Russ and playing hero ball, or we're making the passing game almost anemic because we have to just pipe the ball constantly. And he's going for 119 yards and then 190. Like, if you're not throwing the ball for over 200 yards a game in the NFL and you're still winning, that's some Tim Tebow shit. Like, let's be real. Like, you've got to be able to run the football and throw the ball in this league. And I love the fact that they run the shit out of it. But I also, it only works if you hit those throws to Judy. Russell Wilson's the best play action quarterback maybe in NFL history when done correctly. He, like, if you watch his footwork on that throw, and I know he was in the gun, he wasn't under center, but Judy wins off the line of scrimmage clean, and that's a touchdown. And he's off his back foot because he doesn't want to get hit throwing that ball. So I think that there's still a lot to improve on, and that's why I'm kind of bullish on this shit with Denver. Like, their defense is playing out of their minds. Vance Joseph deserves all the credit for changing. And again, the great Don Shula said this, and I believe it right here in my office. The Little Book of Coaching by Don Shula. This is just full of ideas, okay? He always says that a plan is only as good as the ability to change it. So hats off to VJ for changing his plan. Hats off to Peyton. And now, hats off to Russ for acclimating. But when we get into the playoffs and you've got Burrow and Lamar Jackson and dudes everywhere that can do it, like Trevor Lawrence, and you got guys, you're going to have to match that quarterback in those games. Trevor Lawrence matched Herbert last year in that playoff game. Listening to Muma talk about it and how crazy the atmosphere was, and coming back from 28-3 to win the other day, that Chad Moon was on the podcast talking about all that. It gave me goosebumps. So you're going to have to match the quarterback play in the playoffs. And I don't know if Russ can do that shit. I don't know if, he can match Patrick Mahomes at home, but can he go on the road to Arrowhead and match Mahomes? I don't know.
We're going to leave it on that because I think there's opening up some conversations that we're going to have next week. I teased it a little bit about the idea that if Russell Wilson does get a quarterback drafted, to sit on the bench behind him for any amount of time if Sean Payton does move in that direction. Because if you are drafting a Bo Nix, you do want a little bit of developmental time. And I asked a question that I'm going to re-ask, and we're still not going to dive into it because we've gone off on a tangent. The idea is that, can Russell Wilson mentor a rookie quarterback into the quarterback that you would hope them to be? Because if you draft a quarterback and you think that they can outperform the efficiencies you're seeing from Russell Wilson, who is later into his career, who may not play to end the entirety of his contract, that it's a dangerous and it's a adverse risk when you think about bringing in new talent and hoping for elite quarterback play, because we throw that word around here a lot, and everyone does. But the idea is how many elite quarterbacks are there in the league? And we know it's a quarterback driven league, and we know teams struggle when they don't have a quarterback, but that's because they've built their teams in the expectation, and that's how they combat the defenses that have evolved in the last decade or so. So it's shifted, but we've seen also quarterbacking shift as well, where there's a top half and there's a bottom half, and it's not the top 15 and the bottom 15. It's like the top 7 or 8 and then the rest of them. So Russell Wilson's not in the elite tier, but we need him to be middling enough to get games won. If you are drafting a quarterback to have him sit beneath Russell Wilson, that's one thing. But if you're having them to relieve him of his duties, that's another. So I want to keep having that conversation. I want to keep eliciting questions from everyone who is watching. I want you to leave comments and leave questions so that we can refer to them later on, because I hate to get out of here, but we are on a time. We got shit to do. You can follow us over on socials and tweet at Matt60Academy. Use the hashtag ask60. That's 60. Get your questions in and I'll get them ready and rolling. Tomorrow's shows are going to be preview and buffs heavy, so I know everyone is always wanting to know where that's going to land. We didn't get into it today. I'm fucking shocked. But if you tune in tomorrow, you're going to get all the buffs talk you can possibly handle. Matt was also on DNVR buffs, so you can check that out as well. But I'm sure he's going to drop some tidbits tomorrow because the buffs play tomorrow. They're on to Washington State. Matt, 2 o'clock show. You got Drake Nugent. That's going to be really fun. You'll be back tomorrow morning. Anything else you want to tell the folks who are watching online?
Just make sure you like and subscribe, like Bree said, and then, support Drake this afternoon. Go to 60 Equipment, get yourself a body bag, go get yourself some shirts. It's Christmas time. People are going to look good in the 60 gear. Bree looks damn good in the 60 gear. So look, man, get yours, get it now. Make sure you're outfitted for Christmas. So ho, ho, ho. And then look, tomorrow we have 2 shows, right? I'm gonna do the morning show and the afternoon. And I'm going to go all Buffs on one of them and all Broncos on the other one. And I don't know which is which. You're just going to have to figure it out and roll with the big guy. And I'm going to be answering questions. It's just going to be me on both shows. And if you have questions, log in, come on the show, and let's talk. And I'll be answering damn near anything you got over here on the sidebar in the comment section for the Buffs. And I'll do anything for the Broncos also. So let's do this. Let's do Broncos in the morning and Buffs in the afternoon. Or should I do it the other way around, Bree? What do you think?
No, don't ask me, because I'm going to give you a suggestion, and who knows if you're going to follow through with it.
I guess everybody's just going to have to check it out, because I don't operate like that. We're just rolling, baby. Woo!
All right, tune in. We'll see you tomorrow.
Love you.
Brought to you by Bet Online. Check it out.